Hello, and welcome to the Money and You Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host, and we have a fabulous show today. I want to ask you a question. What if you could create a magic mindset around money that would forever help you with the emotional side, which happens to be about 90% of your financial decision-making process, and get you where you wanted to go so much quicker and with so much more ease and grace? Would you like to learn about that? Listen to today's show.
Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today.
Hello, and welcome again. Today, I'm going to jump right in. We have a fabulous guest with us today who's going to really help you understand your money mindset, your relationship with money, and a whole lot of other things around how to fundraise and some other things. So let me introduce Diana Greschtchuk. She is the CEO of Fan Your Flame LLC, a financial literacy coach and your best financial friend. She's passionately committed to guiding entrepreneurs, businesses, and individuals to achieve a wide variety of financial goals. Diana utilizes pioneering methods rooted in practical financial concepts, business acumen, and mindset work to educate and empower her clients to achieve goals of financial independence, transformation, and abundance. Diana is a certified master mind magic practitioner and is a certified emotional intelligence practitioner. By day, she's a VP of fund accounting and finance at a private equity venture capital firm based in Los Angeles and holds an active certified public accountant designation in the state of California. She's a seasoned investor, venture capitalist, and angel investor for aspiring female entrepreneurs with 20 years of experience in the financial services industry. Diana gives back to the community by volunteering as a board member for the Point Foundation, a nonprofit organization that empowers promising lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer students to achieve their full academic and leadership potential, despite the obstacles often put before them to make a significant impact on society. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle.
I'm so happy you're here. This is great. You are a wealth of information and the type of information that I really love. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And I want you to give us some background and, an understanding of why you do what you do, because I think that's so important. And but I just want you to start with, this. Obviously it caught my attention that you're a magic money financial coach. So can you tell us what that means a little bit?
Sure. So the certification I hold as a certified master mind magic practitioner really is rooted in neuroscience. It talks about how our brains work and how when we're very young, we form beliefs. We're like video cameras from the age of, 3 to 7 or so, and we're absorbing all the information in our brains. Our neurons are making connections. And so we learn to think in certain patterns and habits, and that's just the way our brains are wired. So you might grow up thinking, oh, I'm bad at technology, I'm great at soccer, and then you just believe them. But really what that work does is it can get at the root of, well, guess what? You can change and rewire and reprogram your brain anytime to believe the things you want to believe or need to believe to do the things you want to do. So you can believe, I am good at technology, I am good at soccer, whatever it is. And so it's about teaching your brain to unlearn old habit patterns and reform new ones.
I love that. And I'm fascinated by that too. And you have a background as a CPA, as do I, although you're still practicing. I was curious if you had the same experience I did or a similar one where nobody ever talked about this part of, the world of finance. It was all practical, and just very oriented towards intellectual aspects of finance. And then when I learned that there was an emotional side to finance. I found it really fascinating and kind of stunning, actually. But
you nailed it in your introduction. Managing your money is really only 10% managing your money. All the rest of it, the 90% that's left, is managing your emotions around money. Just look at the markets these days, how volatile they are, losing for 5 straight weeks in a row, interest rates going up, what it can do psychologically to people, especially when money is rooted in needs like security, safety, providing for your family. This is the heavy stuff that when there's not enough money or when you're losing money, your brain is wired to show you loss. And suddenly that's all you can see. That's all you can feel. You feel threatened. And then when they take away your livelihood or your ability to provide for your kids, that hits core emotions. And then it's not about the money. It's never about the money. It's what the money can do for you and the people that you love. And you're 1,000% right. We don't even talk about money at the practical level in schools and curriculums that are out there. So talking about all of this is new.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you discover it? I mean, what brought you to this?
Yeah. So when I was a little girl, I would hear my parents arguing about money. I have a firm belief that we inherit our money stories from the generation that came before us. And my parents weren't great with money. They did okay. They both had jobs. I grew up in Silicon Valley. So, they had paying jobs. The money was there, but there never seemed to be money for things that we wanted or needed to do. And so, I would ask for money to do something and we wouldn't have it. And I just grew up thinking and believing, I don't ever want to fight about money. I want to be comfortable with money. I don't want to have to worry about it. And so I remember distinctly filling out my college application. I wanted to major in finance because I wanted to learn about it, because I knew financial professionals, they always seem to have jobs, and I didn't want to worry about being out of a job. And so then I majored in accounting as well when I got in there, because it just came naturally. So I did a double major, and that's where I picked up the fundamentals. The language of finance is in the accounting and the background, the transactions underneath, and having confidence in the companies that you invest in, what the numbers tell you. And that's where I got started. So I went to school and studied this. I started playing with my own money in the stock market, putting aside money. I started my own business in college where I did the bookkeeping and payroll services for small companies. And I just sort of learned to DIY it myself.
Wow, so interesting. And then how did the revelation come around the emotional part of money, and why did you move into that area?
So in May of 2020, my mom passed away just at the beginning of COVID and the pandemic. And it wasn't COVID, it was something else. But it was really hard on me because my father had passed away 7 years prior, and I'm an only child. And, losing my mother and my second parent, I think this is something a lot of people aren't prepared for, and no one teaches you about this. It's a club no one wants to be a member of, losing your parents. And when I lost my mom, the emotional baggage hit me hard. I had kind of deferred dealing with the dad stuff, and then once the second parent left, there was no hiding. So, I went on antidepressants. I didn't want to drink as a coping mechanism. I think that's really prevalent in the accounting field too. There's a lot of coping mechanisms: eating, alcohol, losing yourself, escaping. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be emotionally present, and I wanted to find a way to deal with my emotions and my grief because it was so much. And so I started working with a mindset coach and started getting certified in her work. And that's what led me here. And it taught me that we always have choices. We always have the ability to write a new story, and it doesn't have to be the way you think it has to be.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And sorry for your loss. And I also, there is an aspect of that when growth like that comes from a tragedy, it's in a way a beautiful thing. It's so difficult. But I find it really interesting when people start understanding that we have choices, that we have more agency than we thought we did. It's really empowering, and really, something so important really for everybody to understand and know. So you said that beautifully, and I appreciate that. Understanding that, how have you if you're working with clients, obviously you have been doing this, but, the going from understanding that to actually making the habit changes that need to be made. I find at this point that to be very interesting. Because I love the mindset work, and I love the neuroscience and the idea that we can, move around and shift neural pathways and all of that. I find it just absolutely fascinating. But then sometimes there's that little stumbling block where, a person's habits have to change and they have to do the stuff as well as thinking, shifting their mindset. So what techniques do you use to help people to make that process?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is coming from a place where you understand what aligned action is. So you're not just taking a step. That step makes sense for you. So when I put it in the context of working with my clients towards their financial goals, if someone comes to me with a goal of, I want to spend more time with my family, I want to take more vacations and be with them. Well, then practically we need to set aside savings so they can take vacations with their family. We need to find a way for them to have enough money so that they can spend time with their family and not feel bad. And enough is a decision, not an amount. As you know, that's mindset work. Having enough is a choice. And so it's about an abundance mindset. And taking aligned action towards that might be, okay, if I know I want to spend more time with my family and I know I want to take more vacations with them and I need to set aside savings, but let's say currently I'm living outside of my means, my expenses exceed my income, then an aligned action might be, okay, I really need to get on a budget and keep to it. I really need to not only watch my expenses and what I'm spending, and live within the means, but maybe also consider expanding my means. How can I grow my revenue and top line, reduce the expenses to have enough money to then do the thing you need to do, which is save to be with your family? And so that to me is the first step, is figuring out what is aligned in that example, knowing why you're doing this. What's your why? And then it becomes really easy, because then you're motivated. Oh, it's for my family. It's because they make me happy. That's why I'm doing this. It's not about the money. And then it makes it really easy. Okay, I know I need to up my revenue. I know I need to watch my expenses. Okay, I can do this. And you start empowering yourself because you're working towards a goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think taking those practical actions along with it in that aligned way, that really reinforces the new mindset. And so it really is powerful. So can you talk to me a little about your trauma-informed coaching, financial coaching?
Absolutely.
I'm hearing that term a lot. I've been working with people who do trauma-informed yoga and trauma. And so the term is a little more out there in different areas. So
sure. I'll tell you what it means to me.
Okay.
I think when you are trauma-informed, you are understanding that everyone is enduring trauma. Okay, so trauma is a response that your body has to an event. The trauma is not the event itself. The trauma is not my mother passing away. The trauma is how I reacted with such grief that I couldn't even cook myself dinner, that I couldn't take care of myself. And so understanding and coming from a place of empathy that everybody has endured trauma. And so approaching it to create a safe space to talk about money is what I do. We've all endured financial trauma. My dad was in and out of jobs. He lost jobs all the time in Silicon Valley. It's understanding that everyone has a natural human response, which is trauma to certain events that they don't get to choose. And so by recognizing that, being empathetic and creating a safe space where they don't feel attacked, where they feel like they can speak about things, it creates an environment that then facilitates healing. And that healing is what is needed to come out of the trauma.
Beautiful. And then you discuss financial issues with that in mind so that people, okay.
That's right. And It's amazingly effective because I think everyone just wants to feel safe, especially when talking about money. We were always taught you don't talk about money. It's family business. No, that's private. No, it's safe to talk about money. It's okay.
Yeah.
Especially if it's causing you angst, especially if you're thinking about doing something drastic that might hurt yourself or others because of money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not talking about money, that comes up a lot. I'm hoping it's shifting, and everybody I talk to seems to agree that we need to talk about it more. I guess it's still complicated because it's like, okay, we need to talk about money more, but with who? There are a lot of people that maybe it's not best to talk about money with, but certainly professionals like you or I, people should be talking to, who have their, who are in the business of supporting and mentoring and helping people. But who else? Who else should you be talking? I mean, what is your stance on that? Like, who should you be talking about money with?
Yeah. Well, I'm not one to should on anybody because I don't should on myself either. So it's never about what I should do. But I hear you. And what I like to do is I like to create a community. I have a Facebook group that is a public Facebook group. And it's really about, if you were to do Duolingo for finance. If you were learning to speak a new language, you just want someone to practice with. Financial literacy is about building the fluency, being able to read, write, understand, and speak the language of finance, right? And so if you can do that in a safe space with other people who are practicing too, you don't have to talk about all the dirty details of your particular stuff. But if you had a safe place with like-minded individuals to ask questions and just get a sense of, oh, hey, what are you doing in this space? What do you have as a best practice or a lesson learned in this particular issue? Then I think that allows us to speak within community, because I think in community is where we heal. It's where we grow. It's where we really flourish. So for me, it's about finding those people that want to learn to speak finance too.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I love that. And I agree with you about not shitting on people. I appreciate you calling out. I've been using that word. Usually catch myself, but I didn't that time. But I love that. And I think, what you're bringing up too is sometimes it's easier to talk about it in a community they're not our friends or our family. They're outside people with, just talking about it objectively without knowing anything about our personal situation or baggage or anything else. So I think that's a great way to go. I think I've been part of in those communities, and people do throw out questions and get amazing answers, on all kinds of topics. So that's a great suggestion. How do people get into this community that you have?
It's a public Facebook group. It's very easy. It's fan your flame at the financial literacy fire pit, because, I like to make it approachable, make it fun. And who doesn't have fun at a fire pit, gathered around with friends, talking, enjoying the moment and lighting up? I created my company, Fan Your Flame. Actually, I got the name from a Peloton ride. One of the Peloton instructors said, fan your flame as a directive. And it's not just about igniting your own soul, but it's about burning brighter and stoking your financial fire to just really light up the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that. And, so let's talk too about, you're also in the venture capital angel investing world. Do you want to talk a little about that? Because I think that's still a bit of a mystery to people. People don't fully understand it. So if you could elaborate a little and share, that'd be great.
Sure. I think, a lot of us are familiar with the stock market. We're familiar with the things that have been made approachable for us, going through a discount brokerage, buying stocks that have ticker symbols, maybe index funds, mutual funds, bonds, CDs, things that are easy. When you start getting into the private investing world, that's where really, and the SEC monitors this, you need to have a large amount of accumulated wealth. There are some things called accredited investors and qualified investors. And really, it's about do you have enough money to put it into the private markets that aren't publicly traded, that don't have these rigorous requirements to meet for financial reporting, for example? And a lot of venture capital funds, hedge funds, private equity, they don't have that kind of monitoring by the SEC yet. So it's a large amount of risk, and not everyone can stomach that risk. When we talk about the emotions, it's, can you sleep at night? Having your money housed with someone, can you have the trust in yourself, your ability to make decisions, and other people who are going out there to invest in something private? And that's what venture capital is. A lot of that we hear, those up and coming startup companies. If you have a portfolio of venture firms, maybe 99 out of 100 of them are failures, or they don't quite get there. Maybe there's one unicorn. So it's being able to stomach that loss. And that one unicorn might cover and carry your entire fund. And that might be the one profitable thing. Whereas you're used to seeing other things, an index fund, most of the stocks are going to go up on any given day in the market, or anything like that. Not these days, if you look at our market today. But I think the private investing space, it's really kind of a no man's land desert. You don't know what you're getting into, and having a guide can make it really helpful. But it's really a space that's seeing tremendous growth, especially in infrastructure, in technologies and innovations that just aren't quite catching on with the main public. To me, that's the frontier of investing. Being born and raised in Silicon Valley, that was the front end of technology and the front of the wave before it gets popular. So that's what I think of when I think of these private equity firms. They're doing things that people, the main market, maybe aren't quite ready for yet, but they're finding amazing solutions out there, giving them money so that we can solve the problems of the world, like plastics in the oceans, or water in California, or all those things that need fixing, COVID, all of it.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you, if somebody, do you work both sides of it, the people who want to be investors, but also the people who are looking for funding?
I consider myself kind of all of the above, because I started my own business, so I'm a founder. I invest in other people's businesses, so I'm a funder. And I work for a private equity firm that matches both of those. And I work in the back office doing fund accounting and getting financing for those funds, involving large bank lines of credit and huge amounts of financing for deals that are happening there. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little all over the place.
Okay. And so what are some of the, if somebody's listening to you thinking, I'd like to get involved in this, what would be some of the qualifications for that?
Yeah, I think one of the first things you would have to do is look at your own financial house and get it in order. Looking at your own balance sheet, taking an inventory of all your assets, all your liabilities, your income, your expenses, and really seeing what level you're operating at. Looking at those goals, making sure you understand what an aligned investment might be, and then looking at what impact you want to have. Like when you look at what you're wanting to invest in, what's important to you? Do you care about, the LGBTQ space, or education, or wellness? And do you want to make a difference there? And I talk about it as aligned impact investing. So it's about the impact I want to have on the world with my money, because as a consumer in America, everyone is fighting for my dollar. Mm-hmm. They want my money and they want me to spend it on something, whereas I'd rather invest it. I'd rather do something with it. So for me, the first step is getting your financial house in order, understanding how much money, how many resources you have to put towards that impact you want to have.
Yeah, thank you. That brings up a great point, which is to do almost any of these things. I think a lot of people jump the gun and, they come and they say, I want to start investing, where should I invest? But they don't actually know their numbers, and they don't actually have their financial house in order, as you said. And so that's kind of the tedious, sort of uncomfortable, even emotional part of it. But that has to be done before you can really launch into a lot of other things. How do you help people understand sort of what needs to, be put in order?
So what I do is I encourage my clients to go on something called a money date with themselves, with their spouse, Go grab a glass of champagne, champagne, whatever your drink of choice might be. Maybe it's Kool-Aid. I don't know. Get yourself nice and comfy, because to your point with emotions, money can be uncomfortable. So when you start having a money date with yourself, you want to be comfortable. You want to be coming from a place of safety. You're going to be going and looking at the balances in your bank accounts. You're going to be looking at your credit card balances, what your minimum payments are. A lot of people avoid that. They don't even look at that. Mm-hmm. And so going on a money date with yourself is about you getting comfortable with approaching your finances yourself. I call it getting financially naked. I give my clients a template. Go get financially naked with yourself. Look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about what it is you have, what it is you want to do, and where you want to go. And that money date, if you have enough of them, you get your financial house in order when you're looking and getting comfortable with your balances. And then emotionally, you're like, yes, okay, I feel comfortable. I know where I am. Now I know where I can go.
Well, I couldn't love that answer anymore, because that's my exact advice. And I have a money date program that I take people through, because what I found earlier on, I was always telling people, make a money date with yourself, but then they wouldn't know what to do on their money dates, and they would have their champagne and a stack of bills, and they would not do anything really beyond that. So, trying to structure those a little bit so people can get, a broader idea of what you can actually look at in your financial house, which is a lot. There's a tremendous amount that needs to be looked at and isn't looked at. And just like you were saying before, you do this enough and it actually does get to be fun. I mean, it's a little hard to convince people of that at the beginning of the road, but eventually it gets to be fun, because it's no longer, you're not in that avoiding, kind of conflict mode with it anymore. You sort of settle into this understanding, and you, it's so helpful. I mean, I love your answer. It's exactly where I go with that as well. And having these money dates, because money is a relationship. And so having, being in relationship means you do pay attention and spend time with your money or anybody else you're in a relationship with. So that's great. And I find that by the time people have done that for a while, and they do, have that financial awareness, the ideas of what they do start getting excited about investing and making their money work for them and everything else, and being able to use their money in ways that help the world. So it becomes pretty exciting once you get past those initial hurdles.
And to your point, too, you mentioned a money date with a stack of bills. Let's take that a step further. A lot of people learn from their parents, oh, don't talk to dad. He's paying bills right now. Oh, don't ask him for anything right now. When I pay my bills, it's really important with my relationship with money. Your brain is wired to show you loss. It's going to show you, to pay money for this. That's just leaving. That money's leaving. I have to pay for this. So when I have a stack of bills to pay, I like to look at it as, oh, here's a utility bill. It was hot this summer. I ran the air conditioner a lot. I'm so grateful for that air conditioner, because it made me a nice person. Because when I'm hot, I'm cranky. So thank you, air conditioning. Thank you, utility bill. I'm going to pay you. I am so grateful that I got something from this. And I show my mind the gain that I got instead of seeing the loss. Then I don't mind paying the money. And that contributes to the abundance mindset, because then when you put your money to flow with gratitude, when you're grateful and you appreciate what you have, that's what's going to bring more into your life. You're not feeling the lack and the scarcity and the clenched fists of, I only have so much money. I can't afford this. It's, how can I afford this? And you begin to flow with much more spaciousness. I see you breathing and your body language change. And I say that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Is that part of the kind of magic mind practice? Because that's where I go as well. I just think there's nothing like gratitude and appreciation to make you remember that, you're paying a bill, but you're paying it because you just took a vacation or whatever it is. I mean, it's just.
Or a healthcare bill. They saved your life. They saved your loved one's life. Yes, take my money. Thank you.
Yeah, and just even that term, take my money, like there is that, I mean, seeing money as more of a flow and that, I mean, if you're in a mindset of abundance, you know that it's going to come back, it's going to go out, it's going to come in. So I just love the way you said that, because that's the typical feeling that people have, is somebody's taking from them, not really giving to them, which is, both are happening basically.
Money is like energy. It's a limited resource, like your time, like your attention. And so how you spend your money, how you spend your energy, how you spend your time, it all matters. And the thing is as you spend it, it flows. That increases the energy flow. Like I liken this just to inflation and recession. Let's just use those financial terms. Inflation is about periods of enhanced spending, putting more money in circulation. So it's kind of valued less per dollar because there's more in circulation. And so people are more free flowing with it. Whereas a recession, the body language, we pull in, we restrict the money we're spending. We don't have enough. When you turn up the faucet or turn down the faucet of money, that's just like letting the energy flow or constricting it. It's all about the resources we have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautifully put. Well, we're very much on the same page. So I love talking to you, because it's
same.
It's interesting when you talk about it with such ease. And, it's such a part of kind of who you are at this point, I would imagine, and how you think about money. And it makes it so much easier. And yet the prevalent thought out there is not to think about it that way at all. So, I mean, how do we change that? How do we change how people view money and operate with it? Because, of course, how you view it and the thoughts you have around it are dictating all the decisions you're making with it. And so...
Yeah. So I love to personify money. I do this thing, and I have this great slide where, in your movie, in your story, is money the hero or the villain? Are we talking, is it Ursula? Is it Jafar? For me, when I personify money, I have a client who says her money is Donna Summer with like her hair blowing in the breeze and she's easy and breezy. For me, when I personify money, I think of the noble and helpful butler from Batman. He is there. He anticipates all my needs. He is a kind servant. He helps me do what I need to do in the world. He helps me have the impact I want to have. And I can't do what I need to do without him. And because of that, I am so grateful. He is my people. That is my relationship with money. So when I personify money, that's how I want to teach people, who is money to you in your story? If it's Ursula and you're trying to dodge it, then you're not going to have a lot of it and you're not going to have a great relationship with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if it is Ursula, and then how are you helping people to kind of, change money into somebody else?
Yeah, it becomes really a shift of how you think. It becomes, okay, well, what do you want money to do for you? Okay, what character can you think of that does that? Or when you picture how you want to feel with money, for me, I define success with, am I spending the most hours in the day feeling the way I want to feel? I want to feel passionate. I want to feel grateful. I want to feel limitless. Mm-hmm. So am I spending hours of the day in that? How does that character feel? Who is that character to me? Who is passionate? Who is grateful? And then that money helps you be that person, and shifting that character that way, helping you feel how you want to feel, is truly how I see it.
Yeah, I agree. And feelings are the other thing that never come up with money in school or in work. And they're just such a huge, huge part of it. And so going after the feelings you want. I don't know if you're familiar with Danielle Laporte, but I love her work. And it's all about that, like figuring out the feelings you want and then setting all your goals so that they lead you toward those specific feelings, instead of trying to go after goals that make sense, but ultimately don't make you feel the way you want to feel. So.
Yeah, because when you're attached to goals, and I just use the key word attached, you're attached to an outcome. You think it has to look a certain way or be a certain way. Whereas, I gave you my 3 feelings that I want to feel all the time: passionate, grateful, and limitless. You could want to feel spacious and easy and happy or joyful or abundant. So I love to have people look at an emotion wheel or a list of emotions. How do you want to feel? And go that way, and then figure out how you can be 10% more passionate in this moment, how you can be 10% more limitless in this moment and make new choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fabulous. And just the knowledge that you can shift this. I mean, I think that's always the message of the show is if you're stuck, if you're unhappy with the way things are, they can be changed. I mean, you might not know how in this moment, but it starts with everything going on in your head pretty much. So
agreed. 1,000%.
Yeah. Tell us a little about what you do with your nonprofit and how you serve people there.
Absolutely. So I am on the board of directors for the Point Foundation, and the Point Foundation provides financial and non-financial support to students that have been marginalized. So what do I mean by marginalized? Often kids can get kicked out of their homes when they come out as LGBTQ, whatever it is. And especially in certain states like Florida or Texas with don't say gay bills on the table, it can be really hard and it can change someone's life. And there can be, I'm getting chills and I get a little thing in my voice about it because this next generation is going to do so many beautiful things. But when they have obstacles put in front of them, it makes it so much harder for them to just shine. And so I love what this organization does because it gives the resources that are needed when you don't have support in your given family, and they help you choose your own. And so they provide full ride scholarships. They provide partial scholarships. There is community support, coaching, mentoring. They really set them up for holistic success. And so I couldn't love that organization more.
Mm. And you teach financial literacy to people there, or what do you?
So I chair some committees. I'm working on getting some of the financial literacy content into their annual conferences and programming. But really, it's not even about the financial literacy coaching part of it. I just give of my time to them because when I started my career back at PricewaterhouseCoopers, 20 years ago, I was introduced to this organization and it was doing amazing things even then. So here's to more than 20 years of the Point Foundation changing people's lives. And I just like to be a part of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And yeah, it's beautiful to have, you have many things going on. So how do you manage your time? You've got a lot of different.
I live by my calendar and I make sure that I am present. I'm being where my feet are. I make sure I'm organized and I know where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there without shutting on myself.
That's great. Well, can you tell people how they might connect with you and work with you if they would like in the various capacities that you?
Absolutely. I have a website, www.fan-your-flame.com. And on there, you can work with me in a one-on-one coaching capacity. I also have some group programs available. I scale for whatever people's needs are. Sometimes people that need financial literacy don't have the money, and it's important to me to provide access to everyone. So, you can work with me one-off, you can buy larger packages, however it is. And really what I do is I meet you where you are. So it's not about squeezing you into a program or putting you into a box to shuffle you through. It's really working one-on-one or in like-minded groups that get you the financial literacy, that get you the exposure, really show you about the neuroscience and the inner work that makes the outer work work. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Fan Your Flame LLC. And you'll find all this in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. And you are a wealth of knowledge. So I would highly recommend that people do contact you. And I love what you're doing and just keep it up. It's really work that's needed out there. And
thank you. It's great to speak with someone who speaks this language and understands and is just like, yes.
I do love it. I feel like, for people going through finance programs and becoming, finance professionals and CPAs, I hope they tune into this kind of thing quickly in their careers instead of going for too long without learning about it, because it's just fundamentally crucial to understand it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's needed. And when that education isn't given to you, you have to supplement it and take control of it and empower yourself to go get it yourself. Yeah. Because how are you going to play the game if you don't know the rules of the game?
Yeah, absolutely. And people can do that with people like you and me. So that's great. And thank you so much for being here today, Diane. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been great. So, and audience, thank you. Thank you for showing up for the Money and You show. And please, if you like the show, share it, review it, like it, whatever, on any of the platforms that you will find it on. It's on all the podcast platforms, Limit Free Life YouTube channel, and several other places. Now Roku. Wow, Roku. I forgot about that. That's new. So anyway, we are here broadcasting from ubngo.com every week, and you can reach out to me at limitfreelife.com or Michelle, 2 L's, at limitfreelife.com. I'd love to hear from you and hear any of your money questions and what you would like more of on the show, or an understanding of what you need. I'm always looking to find out what people are needing and looking for out there in the world in terms of financial advice and education. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.